Hello and welcome to my craft channel, Susie Makes. This channel is all about crafting and all types of crafting. I've covered crochet, cross stitch, knitting, and I'm adding to these categories all the time. Today's video is about how to do the knit stitch. So without further ado, here I have cast on 10 stitches, which I showed you how to do in my previous video in the knitting category. And now I'm going to show you how to do the knit stitch. Now, you have your cast on stitches on your needle. You hold those in your left hand, unless of course you're left-handed, and that's a whole new video on its own. Now, to do the knit stitch, you pick up your needle in your right hand, and all instructions today are for right-handed knitters. I should point that out. And you take the tip of your needle behind the first stitch and push it through the loop. Each stitch, you'll see there, if I just point it out, each stitch is a loop that is wrapped around the needle. So you take the tip of your right hand needle, push it into the loop. Some people call that the front, some call it the back. I've always called it the back. I don't think it is really. I think it is actually technically the front of the loop. So you've got two needles now sitting inside that first loop on your left hand needle. You take your yarn, bring it under the right hand needle, and pull your right hand needle through till you see that stitch forming on the right hand needle. And then as you pull it through further, you take the loop off the left hand needle. So not have you, it looks like you've just transferred it from left to right, but you, by putting the yarn round and pulling the needle through, you've actually created a stitch, which is now on your right hand needle. Now the rest of these stitches we do in exactly the same way, so all of them will end up on the right hand needle. So again, the tip of your right hand needle goes into the front of the next stitch on your left hand needle, and that's how they look crossed over. Your yarn that you then bring under your right hand, the tip of your right hand needle, holding on to it. A certain amount of tension is required, otherwise it would come out all big and loopy. And then your right hand needle, you pull through, taking it under the yarn you've just put across the needle. And as you see that second stitch forming, you take that second stitch off of the left needle, so it is completed on to the right. The transfer and the knit stitch, the knitted stitch is now sitting on the right hand needle. Do that again, the tip of your needle into the front of your third stitch on the left hand needle, like so. You take your yarn, put it under the right hand needle, and take your right hand needle, holding on to your working yarn all the while. Your working yarn is the one that leads to your ball of yarn, and pull the right needle through. When you see that third stitch forming, you then take the rest of the loop off of the left hand needle, and there you have 3 stitches. Do it again, into the front of the 4th stitch on your left hand needle, take your yarn under the right hand needle and across so that you can hold on to it. holding on to it all the time because you are creating a tension for your knitted fabric. Take your right hand needle through, and as you see that full stitch forming, take the rest of the loop off of the left hand needle. And you see how that is growing. You're actually knitting the stitches, and that is getting longer compared to this side. So again, the needle goes into the front of the 5th stitch on the left hand side. Your working yarn comes under the right hand needle, holding on to it, giving it that tension all the time. Don't hold too tight, but not too loosely either. And as you bring your right hand needle through and under that yarn, you see that next stitch forming, take the rest of the loop off of the left hand needle. Now you have 5 stitches. And again, into the front of the next stitch, the 6th stitch on the left hand needle, yarn under the right hand needle and across, pull the right hand one through. As you see that next stitch forming, take the rest of the loop off of the left hand needle. So that's 6 stitches, number 7 coming up. Used to say what did we used to say when we were little? A little rhyme when you were knitting. In, round, through and off. 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 There. Now all your stitches have transferred over to the right needle, and by putting the yarn around each one before you put your right hand needle through, you are actually making your fabric grow. If you didn't put your yarn round, then all you're doing is transferring the stitches from one needle to the other. So the yarn round the needle forms the chain or the link that actually makes your yarn grow and form a knitted fabric. So there you have the knit stitch. If you've enjoyed this video and it has been helpful, please subscribe to my channel so you don't miss future videos, and occasionally as well, maybe about once a month, you will find that there are some free pattern giveaways as well. Thank you for stopping by. See you again soon.